Welcome to Blinkers Off with your hosts, Jared Welch and Aaron Halterman.
Good afternoon. What's up, everybody? I'm Jared Welch. It's Aaron Halterman. It is, what is today? Thursday, March 5th, and this is Blinkers Off. What's up, my man?
Yeah, what's up? It is Thursday. That is podcast day. And it is crazy that I was looking at the schedule today. And by April 5th, I think all the Derby preps are over. I think it's like the 3rd or 4th, maybe of April. I can't remember, but it's almost over. Like we're a month away from the Derby field, being set, quote unquote. So that's insane to me.
Especially when you take into account that, we will talk a little bit, what we saw last weekend. We promised you that last week, that we knew we would have a big kind of segment of kind of digesting everything. But, especially considering we still don't have really a super clear picture. There's some that are interesting and that, you get excited about, but at the same time, like there's not that horse yet. And you're, like you said, you're 1 month away, 1 month out. Yeah. I think the final, UAE Derby, Florida Derby, all that stuff is the 28th. And then, the Bluegrass, Santa Anita, that weekend is the 4th. And of course, you have Lexington, the 11th. But yeah, the 4th. So yeah, we're actually less than a month away now.
Yeah. Well, like for our fantasy league, the bonus races start March 21st. And I remember when I set that up, I was like, that feels like forever. And it feels like a blink of an eye. And it's like, wow, we're a couple of weeks away from those last big preps. So I listen, if you want to get into last weekend, the Derby trail had certainly started, but I think last weekend it officially started. Like we finally saw some performances in Derby prep races that really were like, wow, that's exciting. And I think the all across racing, I've seen it from our fans as well, our subscribers, that excitement is really starting to ramp up.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that last weekend definitely felt, and you had a 2-dayer with the Saturday, Sunday with the Rebel the next day, and from an excitement standpoint, the races really built like they were just as exciting to watch. Now maybe one was more interesting or more like impressive than the other, but both. Really, when you look at it, and you had 4 basically contenders that came out of those 2 races because the finishes were so close that you really had 4 horses that. Only 2 won, right? But 4 horses that came out of those, and you're like, yeah, that, and then you had 2 other ones that maybe didn't run as well. They were making their returns. That maybe you're like, okay, maybe one more race. We'll see if they improve off of that. So, yeah, listen, from a Derby kind of prospect potential, and then the other thing too is like the 2 horses that one got second, being class president and Chief Wallaby, like. Very lightly raced, very kind of like, I think they might be over their heads too quick. Clearly we're not, ran huge. So that kind of gives you the excitement of what these horses might be in, like you said, in a month.
Yeah, and I think that's what makes this Derby, for me at least, a lot of fun. Is you have a lot of rapidly developing horses that don't have a lot of foundation. And they're already outrunning, or at least close to outrunning and competitive with these horses that have a lot more foundation. And now it's kind of a puzzle of, okay, who's going to get where, when, right? Like who's going to be that horse that is peaking at the right time? Who's that young horse that's getting a lot thrown at him that can handle it and stay healthy and progress, right? Because that's what's happening. And we're going to talk about it again today with the Tampa Bay Derby specifically.
Yeah.
Holy wow. Horses coming in and it's like, damn, these horses only have 1 or 2 starts, but damn, do they look good. And that theme is going to continue throughout this whole thing when you look and project on who's going where in the next 2, 3, 4 weeks. And I think there's a possibility it could make for a extremely tricky handicapping situation, or Chief Wallaby just gets better from that last race and he wins the Derby easily. So I think it's one of those 2 things, but can he get better? Because the big deal with Sovereignty was he got so much better, but they also worked backwards and had a plan and brought him along. Where Chief Wallaby, there is no working backwards. He debuted. He was too good not to run in a stakes. And then he ran too good to not try it again. So can he have that normal progression? That's going to be the big question mark and the big thing we're going to keep looking for.
Yeah, I have one like specific question I want to ask you. The reason I phrase it like that because I've been asking myself, but I'll wait to the segment here in a little bit when we talk about these Derby contenders, the update, that kind of thing, because I want to. It's very when you look at it like we're 2 months away from the Derby, we're 1 month from the final preps. The question is starting to become like. Yeah, that's a good question. So just wait. I'll bring it up here in a second. I'll bring this question up because this is interesting. Who would most likely be the class president between you and I? As far as and if people don't know us like really well, I would say neither. I never was in contention for that.
I'm trying to think. I think no. Maybe when I was little, I think I was a class president of like my second grade class, believe it or not. But an actual like when there was actual a president of your grade, I never ever thought about even trying to do that. No. So no. I think neither would be the answer.
And when we were, I remember different, like when different years in high school, but like when we were seniors, or I was a senior, like it was more. For whatever reason, our class thought it was more funny to like, vote for like the funny guy or whatever to be the class president and all those guys. Not like this one's going to take it serious and actually do a good job.
Well, no, I don't think when I was in high school, certainly the thought process of we need to elect a strong class president, that was not something that went through my head, right? And so. And maybe this starts to explain the voting skills we display today. We didn't take it serious back then, and maybe we don't now. But at the end of the day, I don't think either one of us took school serious enough to think we want to be the class president. I don't think that was a thing.
I was like, I played this perfect kind of both sides in high school. Like I was a National Honor Society, but I also would like be the one causing some of the issue, with the group that was like kind of like skipping class or failing, or like, so we kind of I played this perfect mid role to where I was never suspected of anything, but also I was, so I never really had the thought to be class president or, probably would have won anyways.
I feel like you and I are kind of the same way where we were friends with all the groups.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I could hang out with groups I probably shouldn't have been hanging out with just as easy as like, the athletes or whatever, you know what I mean? So it was, I agree with that. Yeah.
Well, there's certain kids, then honestly, the ones that we hung out with where it was like, hey, that person's like, they're a jock. That's what they only have friends that are on the football team or whatever. And these people are the skateboarders and they're only friends, right. But I was like, same way, like some of my, good friends, I could be with them one day. I could be with those like, and so then the guys that like you were getting in fights every day, I could also like just be like, hey, that dude's talking shit. Like, go take care of him for me. And he would just, because he liked to fight. So it was like, I don't know how it worked. Maybe I'm just like in that he can talk well or whatever. But I just always never had really any enemies. I just had a lot of friends.
Yeah, same. And that's a good point on the fighting. You always wanted to make friends with the fighters. And I keep friends that are fighters just for that reason. I'm not fighting
like anybody, you can put your chest out, you can kind of talk shit, but then next thing you know, when really the thing gets serious, you're just like, hey, there you go. Take care of that for me.
Shout out Justin Proffer. Justin Proffer, come over here and kill this guy. Okay, yeah, I will. That's a real guy.
Shout out Paul Akers as well.
So. Shout out Paul Akers, who really probably shouldn't have been fighting. He wasn't the biggest kid, but man, that kid could fight, and he wanted to fight. That was
he looked forward to a good headbutt. I mean, let's just put it that way. Like no reason. Didn't need to explain anything to him, like what was being said or who said what, or didn't matter. He's ready to fight. So
love Paul.
So Paul. Neither one of us were class president, although we probably were really good friends with the class president. So let's put it that way.
Whoever that may have been, I don't even know. So
we definitely messed ours up because the people that we voted for, and I don't even remember who it was, but I know it was not someone looking back, like you said, probably not like, we should have maybe thought that one out a little better. Because I think something to do with like in high school, anyways, don't they like kind of run or supposed to be running the class reunions and things of that nature, And it's like that shit ain't happening. So
yes, that is true.
Yeah. we missed the boat on that. Hey, there you go. Disney nap time. I've been there, buddy. That's are you at Disney? Which one, Land or World? But yeah, I was at World back in November, and nap time never happened, unfortunately, because mine are a little older. But I would have loved it. It sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Mark says he would have taken a 15-minute hall pass, restroom breaks his senior year to handicap the. Hey, oh man. We would have done that had we been in racing then, for sure.
Part of me is kind of glad I wasn't, and I got through school before I really got into racing, because I would have not done school, I don't think. Like,
yeah, right.
When I remember back when we first discovered racing, that's all we did. And I don't know that I could have passed if I would have known racing back then. So
yeah, that's true. What resort are you in, Christopher? I think we were in the Contemporary. I think that was what it was called. But yeah, the beers are cold. That's good. You're paying probably $10 a beer, but they are cold. Yeah. But hey, it worked. When you get to here's how it works when you get to Disney. You money just doesn't exist. It's like Monopoly money at that point. You spent so much to get there, so much to be there, that at that point you're just like, whatever. Like, is it part of the plan? Is it not part of the plan? I don't know. Just charge it. I'll figure it out when I return to the real world. So, all right, let's get into the racing action here, because we have lots to talk about. We're going to kick things off here with the go to Santa Anita for the San Felipe and the Tampa Bay Derby at Tampa Bay Downs. The Tampa Bay Derby is a very good race. We'll also, we'll look at the top picks of those races, kind of the insights and what that means moving forward. We're going to do some rapid fire. We're going to go back to Santa Anita for the big cap. We have the Beholder Mile and the Azaria at Oaklawn with nitrogen. So that will be a fun race to look through as well. And then, we're going to get back to the Kentucky Derby Trail. We're going to look a little bit at the contenders, some of that last weekend's racing, what we liked, what we didn't like, what's coming up, everything and anything between. Let's not waste any more time. Let's go. What did he say? We were at the Contemporary. Hey, there you go. Let's see. Epcot was the one we did not go to, actually, surprisingly. So we had to make, because we went to Universal Studios one day, and then we went to Epic Universe one day, and the way it worked out, basically one Disney park we weren't going to be able to do, and I've heard that that Epcot for younger kids maybe not as much stuff to do. That's kind of why we went that route. But then I got home and everyone's like, "Oh, you should have gone to Epcot. What were you thinking?" So guess we just got to go back.
One thing I've learned is people don't know what they're talking about. Don't worry about it.
That's true.
Should have done this. Should have done that. Yeah,
this is what it's. Everyone's told me about this. The around the world beer and stuff. Like Paul, he's like, "You got to go," and I'm like, "Dude, that's the one place I didn't go." For the adults, I would honestly, I would love to go to Disney when they're like, you could just be like, "Hey, meet us here in an hour or whatever." When they're young, man, it's not a good vacation. I mean, it's a good vacation. It's not a vacation though. When you have young children.
No. It's work.
It is. It's work. Yeah. All right. Let's pull up let's go to San Felipe here. Look at that fancy graphic. All right. Saturday at Santa Anita Park. We'll kick things off here with the San Felipe Stakes. It's race number 8, 200K, mile 16th on Saturday, of course, and 50 points to the winner. Kentucky Derby prep points, 50, 25, 15, 10, 5 for your top 5 finishers. Only 7 in the race, so most of them going to get some points here, Halterman. And I mean, hey, listen, we know Bob Baffert does one thing, and he does it well, and he wins with 3-year-olds, and this is a race he's won a lot. Bob Baffert's got 2 in here. Brant, the horse who last was seen finishing 3rd, actually, but ran, it was a very good race with at the Breeders' Cup with Ted Nafi, makes his return here. And then Potente, the horse making his second start. Those two in here. You got So Happy, the 6th horse, as the other threat. Past that, it'd be a little surprising if any of the other ones won, although maybe not impossible. What do you think of the race?
Yeah, it's going to be a really interesting race to see what Baffert has. He hasn't had a whole lot just yet in these preps, hasn't been all that great. He did win with Plutarch. He's off the trail. Litmus test really disappointed for him. But look, I think Brandt and Potente are two kind of horses that you would expect are going to run well here, if not win. I will say this. I'm going to go against him. I know that hasn't been a great thing as far as what's happened at California. Baffert's still winning there. I know it hasn't been a great strategy, but I'm going So Happy in the spot. I really like him. I think 1 1/16 is going to be okay for this horse. I don't know about going further than that. That's usually where the question marks kind of begin with the pedigree, kind of like what he has. Run Happy is the sire. That's a little worrisome, obviously, but on the dam side, it's the Blame. Blame is the dam sire, and that horse could go 1.25 miles. So I think at 1 1/16, So Happy makes a lot of sense. I think he can kind of just sit off the pace and go get him. So I'm taking a shot with number 6, So Happy on top.
I'm confused with this race with the two Bob Bafferts, because I get the Brandt may be disappointed in the juvenile, although it was a really good race, and Ted Nafi, was going into this year was the world beater, and maybe that would have changed, right? Because some of these horses are coming back not as good, or maybe okay, but compared to what we have, the new shooters, maybe not. We don't know, right? But we do know that race, this horse was undefeated. Brandt, that is, going into that race, ran a really good third to that horse. And then all of a sudden he's trash. And it's like, I don't know, like, why is Hernandez not riding this horse and Flo is on this horse? The other question is Pratt. I get Canaletto. We'll talk about him here in a second. He chose to ride that horse, stay at Tampa, or go to Tampa and ride that horse instead of coming out to ride Brandt. Several different angles here, but I do think it is interesting that, one, Pratt didn't come, two, that Hernandez didn't get the mount, or didn't want the mount, or however you want to take that, and and the fact that it's been a while, and he's had a couple different delays, like, hey, he's going to show up here, and then he didn't, and then he's going to run here, and that's kind of Bob Baffert, yeah. His way of going about these 3-year-olds, anyways, but. Don't you think it's and then I should also add, like, I like Potente. I think he's all right, but I don't know that I'm like super excited that he's like the Derby winner, and it's not, and Brandt's numbers are such a standout, but I don't know. I was just surprised to see that move.
I've never liked Brandt. I just haven't. I did pick him on debut. I did pick him in the Del Mar Futurity, but I never really considered picking him in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. I just kind of always thought he was a little phony, honestly. It is very interesting that Hernandez didn't ride him. And I agree, like the Pratt thing, we're going to cover that and why Pratt's probably at Tampa, but you would have thought Hernandez was on this one and then Giroux would be on Potente. I don't love Potente either, but I do think it means something that Hernandez is aboard. So it's a very confusing situation. This is one of the reasons why I'm not anti-California racing. I really like racing in California, but these stakes races, when it's multiple Bafferts and you just don't really know, and there's nobody else in there that you get too excited about, I just don't love it. And every time these preps come up at Santa Anita the last 4 or 5 years, I just kind of shook my head like, I don't know. I don't like to play games here and try to figure out which Baffert's what and who he's done what with. And I don't know. It just kind of, it bugs you. So, and look, you could say that same about Chad Brown turf horses at NYRA, and I would say the same thing as well. I don't like trying to read the trainer's mind. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So at the end of the day, I felt like Brandt the same way I felt like Litmus Test last week. Won't be surprised if he wins. I don't think he's awful. I want to go against him. And that's why I kept going back to So Happy, because I couldn't really figure out what's going on with these two horses for Baffert.
And I think you would like. I guess I should ask you. Like, do you like? Let's say it was flipped, whereas Hernandez did go on Brandt, and like, okay, all the the signs are that that if he's the best, the best Baffert in the race, and you might still have the same question mark, or like you don't never really liked him or whatever. But you would definitely have this, because this just adds to that curiosity of maybe he's not as good. You know what I mean? And so I think that only fuels the fire, because I'm with you. Like, I never have loved Brandt, and I think this only adds to it. I'm gonna pick So Happy because I think this horse makes the most sense here. I'm not gonna be at all, not even like 1% surprised if either Brandt or Potente win this race, because it's Bob Baffert, and we saw what Cherokee Nation did, right? Like look at how bad Cherokee Nation looked in whatever race that was. Was that was it the San Vicente or the Robert B. Lewis? Whichever one he ran that.
Yeah.
What was it?
Robert B. Lewis.
Yeah. He looked terrible, right?
Yeah.
And then he wins. That's like one of the almost a track record. And anyways, we know it can happen. And so I'm not going to be surprised at all if it's Potente or Brandt that win this race. I just don't know. I don't know what they're going to do, and so I think if I had to pick between the two, I'd pick Potente just based off of the price, because you're going to get a better price than you will on Brandt. But I just, like, at least was So Happy, I kind of feel like I know what I'm going to get, So
yeah, I think
that's kind of the way you said that about litmus test and how you compared it. That's kind of the way I handicapped the Rebel with whatever his name
tactic.
is. Yes,
Silent tactic.
Yeah, because I'm like, I know what I'm going to get out of him. I don't. Maybe he doesn't win, and he didn't, but he ran exactly how you wanted him to run.
It's amazing, kind of the Baffert situation, I guess is how I'd say it. It's just like you listen, if you've been in the game pre what happened with Medina Spirit, and then you look at what's happened after Medina Spirit, you certainly have to adjust how you look at that barn. They don't do the same things they used to do. And I'm not getting into why, and I don't care even at this point. Like, I just, from a handicapping standpoint, I'm more just speaking a truth of like, it's no longer, okay, Baffert's here. We'll single him on top, and now let's figure out what's going to happen underneath. Like, that's just not a thing anymore. And that's not to say he's not having success, because he is. And that's not to say he might not win this race by 8 lengths, because he might. But just the automatic, we'll pick Baffert. It's a prep. He'll win, isn't a thing. So, but again, this specific horse, talking about Brandt, I just have never believed in. And so it made it easier here. Because look, when they're out in California, you still need to pick Baffert a lot, right? Because he's winning a lot still out there in California. So, if he shows up with a different horse, I may be inclined to do it, but I've always not really liked him. I'm a little bit confused with the jockey situation. Potente didn't show me enough on debut to want to pick him, so I just gravitated towards either Secured Freedom or So Happy on top. And I'm going to kind of use the same strategy I used last week, where it's like, okay, different horse on top, and I'll put Baffert on the pick 5 and move on. Just in case the Baffert angle, just in case Baffert, we'll call it. That's the angle, and just kind of move on. But on top, a short price, I don't really want to bet on Brandt in this spot.
Yeah, I mean, Potente will run better here. I do think that.
I agree.
He wasn't really supposed. I mean, probably was supposed to win, although he had that other horse, Crude Velocity, in that race, and it looked more like a sprinter. They ended up scratching this. He wants to go longer. Look how he's bred. He's into mischief. Awesome again, mare. $2.4 million horse. They obviously had the Derby in mind when they did that and made that purchase. And Zidane, or Speedway, I should say, not Zidane. Those are the two big ones. But yeah, so I do think he will run better. He ran like a 79 buyer that day. Nothing impressive. I would expect it to be an 85 to 89 this time around. I do think he could jump that much. Having said that, I still think that leaves a little bit to be desired, right? Like, especially when you call, this, if you're saying the San Felipe winner runs an 89 buyer, you're like, yeah, that's pretty mid, So Happy's ran better. Brandt's obviously ran better. So yeah, I'm with you. Wanted to see a little more from him that race. Now, do I think he can? Like again, I think he can win for sure, just because it's Baffert. I don't know how I'll feel even upside after the race. I guess we'll see. So here's how I see this race playing out. You tell me if you think it's different. Brandt probably makes the lead. Potente sits out on his outside pretty quick as well. So happy, kind of either outside of them or tracking them, and then Secured Freedom. The other horse I think has got a shot to hit the board off the pace. Do you kind of see it setting up that way?
Yep. I think the 7 is a big key. I kind of hope he tries to press a little bit. But I do see so happy sitting off of those 2 Bafferts and trying to pounce at the top of the lane. I think I agree with that. And I think that is how it's going to set up. And I think it's just going to be a matter of when they turn for home, does Brandt, does Potente, do they have that kick to keep So Happy at bay? Because I'm with you, like same as last week. You talked about silent tactic. I'm pretty confident this week. So Happy, I know what he's going to do. Stalk, try to make a move.
Yeah,
if he finishes well enough, he wins.
Yep, and he hasn't, like, he's 2 for 2. He's kind of ran the similar style both times, and he's stretching out, but I think this is still an okay distance. And even if he does get a little tired, you're gonna probably get that run. You just see if anybody can get him. And listen, so Potente. He's been the way. Whenever I've been watching Potente work, they've been trying to rate him a little bit, and so I think that is maybe going to be a plan here. We'll see. You never know how that stretching out plus kind of a new tactic. So we'll see. But if you had between Secured Freedom, Brandt, Potente, and So Happy, those 4 horses, which one is not hitting the board?
Gosh, I'm gonna say Potente, even though I kind of think, no, I don't want to say. I'm gonna say Secured Freedom. Actually, I'm gonna say Secured Freedom. I know, like, people's thought process. Oh, he'll drop back, he'll make one run, and he'll hit the board. But I kind of think Hernandez on Potente makes me not want to say him, because it does make me think there's something there with him. There's something there with him where he's going to be okay, and he's going to run a little bit better than maybe what the form says. So I would say Secured Freedom.
Secured Freedom is kind of that horse that never really looks like he's going to win, but always kind of, he runs well. He kind of makes that move. And last at Robert Lewis, he didn't look like he had a chance to even hit the board, and then he kind of got up there for 3rd late. So we'll see if that, he definitely seems like a horse that will want to at least have a say in things. But I would probably say him. Honestly, it won't surprise me if Brandt or Potente are just kind of, you're like, oh, they're not running today kind of thing, or they're not firing today. So, and honestly, Brandt might be the most likely contender for that. But we'll see. Lots to find out with this one. Got to assume there's going to be at least one scratch. You didn't have any interest in Flashy Fritz?
No, I did not. That's the other thing I don't really like about the race. Like Flashy Fritz, no offense to the Calbred Start the Ride and Robusta, I don't see it. I think if those 3 win, it means this was a pretty poor running of the race.
Unless unless Potente like just erupts here like a Cherokee Nation type horse, like a performance. I don't know what's really coming out of this one for the Derby, honestly, which is kind of surprising because the San Felipe used to be a race where you're like, all right, let's see what we got out in California. And I don't know, just this one doesn't feel like it that way. So
no, it doesn't. Because, say the horse, we're both on So Happy, I should say. I don't know about you, but I don't believe the horse is going 1.25 miles. Like, no. I think this is probably the max. So you don't get excited. I think if Brandt wins, people are going to get very excited.
Yeah, if he wins, he's going to become like Baffert, especially after litmus test, yes. Disappointed, going to be like his best horse, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Because people crave like that best Baffert horse.
Mm-hmm.
Like who is the best? Like who is that? Who is that Justify? Who is that American Pharaoh or whatever? Because we were kind of always so used to seeing that him have that one or two really good horse. And so, we thought it was litmus test. We're ready to crown him, and then it wasn't. And now you're like, all right, well, is it Potente or Brand? And then we'll see here. And then if it's not them, then, where's, maybe Cherokee Nation. He's the horse, like, in the Santa Anita or whatever. You just keep waiting.
Well, to be clear, we didn't think litmus test was that good.
Well, I say that in general.
Right.
We did not. We did not pick that
No.
horse.
No.
Bob Baffert ships into the Rebel, and neither one of us picked him. That's probably the first that's ever happened. So, but yeah, we both saw through it, and we're right. All right, we're both on So Happy in the San Felipe. We'll see if that comes true. All right, let's go to Tampa for the next one here. The Tampa Bay Derby. This is on Saturday as well. This is race number 11, $400,000, mile 16th, field of 9 shows up here. And we mentioned Pratt not going out west, staying put with Canaletto. This is a very interesting race because you've got just some of these, you mentioned earlier where you had the kind of the new shooters, the young horse. No, they're all young, but you know what I mean? The horses that are new to the scene versus the ones that are coming back and maybe not as good. Further Ado checks that box as the horse is coming back who had looked very, very good as a 2-year-old. Then you have horses like Power Shift, who's still a maiden, who ran good enough to break his maiden, by the way, in that race. The Puma also, and Canaletto. So the horses that either are still maidens or just broke the maiden versus a horse that's sort of established. I say sort of because we haven't seen him in a while in Further Ado.
Dude, I can't wait for this race. I think this is going to be awesome. I think we're going to get some answers that I think quite frankly, we need answered, some questions that we need answered. What an interesting group where there's 2 maidens in here that I think have a huge shot in the number 5 Power Shift and the number 8 the Puma. Power Shift just barely loses on debut by 3/4 of a length to Emerging Market and a maiden special right here at Tampa Bay Downs. And then the Puma, who lost to Chief Wallaby, who I'm sure we'll talk about here in a bit and how good he is. The only strike on the Puma is he had a bad trip the last race, but I still didn't think he ran all that well. So I'm not in on the Puma here as far as picking him to win. I debated between the 5 and the 6 and 9 forever. And I think it's a eyelash between all 3 of them as far as who I wanted to pick here. I thought the quotes from Todd Pletcher were really interesting. They were asking about Power Shift, and he said, hey, our plan was bring him over here. He'll dominate the maiden, and then we're coming right back for the Tampa Bay Derby. He said what happened was he ran a race that would win 999 out of 1,000 maidens at Tampa. He was in the one where he didn't win. He said, but he ran a winning race, so we're going to stick with the plan. I like that quote. I thought that was good. Canaletto, I was there the day he broke his maiden at Gulfstream Park, and I couldn't have been more impressed. I was impressed with him from the paddock all the way to the winner's circle, basically. Very impressed. I'm talking in a circle because I'm going Further Ado on top here. And I think for me, he has less question marks. So I went with him. He is a winner of a Kentucky Derby prep race. He won the Kentucky Jockey Club. He won a maiden by 20 lengths going this distance at Keeneland. I think he's the horse that I want here. I almost picked Power Shift. There's just a tiny part of me that is still a little worried about just having the one race, and he did lose it. And then with Canaletto, it's, we're stretching out for the first time. I'm not 100% sure how good those horses were that he beat. But again, I debated forever between the 5, 6, and the 9, and I went number 6 Further Ado on top. I just kind of feel like he's the one with the least amount of question marks.
Isn't it funny how you have a horse that like Power Shift that I think we want to in our minds be like, well, he lost. He didn't win in the maiden. He can't even win a maiden race. And so you almost want to dock him a little bit for it. And then I would encourage everyone to do when you go back and watch the replay of that race, you're like, holy shit, those 2 ran huge. And I'm talking about Power Shift and Emerging Market, who, by the way, how exciting is that horse, right?
Yeah.
Because that horse, I mean, who knows how good he is too. So,
Yeah.
if Power Shift goes and wins this race, and you're like, how good is that horse? And they were separated by a head basically. It was a good race. But point is, I think we sometimes are too negative, saying we in general, on horses like that. So I don't take any negativity with him into this race. I kind of looked at him and Canaletto in the same light, like even though that one won, one lost, but they both had like I said, if you take out emerging market, they both had very similar debuts. And, you were there to see it in person. Canaletto just looked, he looked a lot like Chief Wallaby did, and like where it's just like, damn, that horse, the way he came around that turn and he just looked, I want the lead. And then he took the lead and it was over after that. Like he was just flying late and just kind of cruised. Audubon, who he demolished that race, came back to win and won by like 5. Like he dominated that next start. So yeah, I mean, who knows how good he really is, but anytime a horse that you killed by 8+, whatever it was, and that comes back and wins by 5+, like it's probably, pretty decent effort. So and then ultimately I was like, man, maybe it's more against Brandt than it is how good Canaletto is. But regardless, like Pratt deciding to stay here, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go with the 9 Canaletto. I'm gonna go there, and I like the fact that Pratt's still aboard. Chad Brown obviously has got some runners this year, and I think this is one of them. So I think Canaletto is going to be able to sit pretty similar trip that he did that day in that maiden special weight, where he kind of on the speed but not necessarily on the lead, and can kind of let things kind of play out in front of him where those horses go. So give me the 9 Canaletto. I'm with you. I think this is going to be a race that, boy, it's going to provide some answers. I think it's going to it could very think of how crazy that would be. That last weekend you have a horse like Chief Wallaby who loses, but definitely lost nothing in defeat because of the lightly race. And then, of course, Class President, another similar situation. And then this race where whether it be if it is Canaletto or Power Shift, like, damn, man, these new shooters are just erupting right now.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? I mean, it really is crazy. And look, how you're describing Canaletto, I can't say one thing to disagree, and Canaletto could win this race and go on to win the Derby. Like that could happen. So could Further Ado. So could Power Shift. Believe it or not, I think there is a world where if he runs a race similar or even got a little better second start, he could win by a couple lengths here and be a real Derby contender. And that is a very just something we don't often say about the Tampa Bay Derby. And I'm not saying Tampa Bay Derby is always awful, because it's not. There's been a couple, but overall, year after year, usually that's not the case. Usually this is a little bit of the second cut of horses, right? But we got some big time horses here, big time. So one last thing. And for me, I realize Irad probably has already committed to Further Ado before he kind of knew what was going to happen with Power Shift. I do think it's interesting that Irad is on Further Ado here.
Yeah. Rode Further Ado, all 3 of the 4 starts, including the last 2 in that Jockey Club, like you mentioned. So the fact that, obviously Pletcher is his guy, chose to ride. If that's the case, chose to ride Further Ado, versus Power Shift. That is interesting for sure, because he did ride Power Shift that day.
Yeah.
In that maiden special weight loss. So yeah, I thought that was interesting. And I think too will be, I'm sure I'm going to forget about a horse that definitely looked good, but you look at last week with Blackout Time and Napoleon Solo and some of these horses who looked really dominant at the end of last year haven't come back to really look great moving the next start. Now maybe they will be, but that first start hasn't been awesome. And so that is a little bit concerning for me for picking Further Ado.
I think that's a more than fair point. And I think that if you want to look at that as an angle, I can't really argue with you, even though I am picking Further Ado. It's been a thing.
They're all different. I mean, different trainers, different. I mean,
yes.
But it's something to think about, I think.
Oh, I totally agree with you. And again, those are things that I wrestled in my head, trying to just decide what to do. It is a question mark for sure. Yeah, it's one of those races where I could sit here and if I gave myself, let's say another day to think about it, I might switch. You know what I mean? Like you might switch again and again between those three. You know, I do think for what it's worth, and it's worth nothing really. I should even say it, but I do think this is the horse Cox thinks has the best chance to win the Derby in his barn. He's never right with that though. He never gets that right. I feel like the one he says that about always is, kind of flops, but I do know that's what he feels. So I really didn't play that into my handicapping because I've been burned by that before. It is something though that I wanted to mention or at least throw out there.
Yeah, I mean, Commandment now, but yeah, Further Ado might be. He's had a lot of runners, so it's always
Yeah.
hard to figure out which one's going to run and win.
Yeah.
And talking about training, it's been a very interesting kind of first part of the year with Ted Naffy being out, and then but Todd Pletcher's got no shortage of really good horses. It feels like that are in the mix now. Obviously, what is it? Renegade Power Shift, class president, nearly, not to mention, Ted Naffy who's out, and then not to mention Chad Brown. Holy shit. I mean, he's loaded with horses. It really feels like these guys might have 3 or 4 horses each in the Derby.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. And like you said, Brad Cox horses have been a little erratic. But boy, he's had some really nice performances too, and Commandment, 2 of them, the Mucho Macho Man, and then of course last weekend. But yeah, I just have a feeling this Further Ado is I think he's going to show up with a pretty good effort. I don't think he's going to follow the path of some of these, 2-year-old horses that have turned 3 after having some decent form and not run all that well so far. I kind of think he's got more upside. I like the foundation that this horse has, winning a maiden and winning a stakes, running a route twice, being undefeated at a route as well.
Yeah.
And I know you could say that about some of these other horses that have come back. I don't know. I just feel like he's going to run pretty well. But here's the deal. I could say that and he could still get beat. Like he could run very well and run third because the 5 has upside, the 9 has upside, even the 8. So anyway, that's just
just imagine if he runs great and imagine Power Shift runs great and loses again. Then now you're sitting here talking about a horse that's a maiden who's gotten beat by 2 really good horses, 2 good performances. And now all of a sudden, not only is he still a maiden, he is on the outside looking in with any Derby potential. So it's that could be a little. This angle is tricky when you have a horse that hasn't won yet.
Yeah, and I mean, I think like we're talking out loud, kind of how I was talking in my head about this race. You do kind of talk yourself into a circle. It's definitely one of those races where I used to call it a circle race where you just go back and forth and back, and you finally just have to go, well, what is most important? Where are the most, sometimes I even write them down, like, okay, who has the most positive factors? And by like 1 every time it was Further Ado. So I was like, all right, I'll just do it. But it is because here's the deal. I like Canaletto. I like Power Shift. I even like the Puma. It is one of those races. If Further Ado doesn't win, or for you, if Canaletto doesn't win, you're going to go, well, damn it. I should have went somewhere else because it was there and I just had to make a tough decision.
Well, yeah. I mean, listen, for me, I was kind of from the start looking to play against Further Ado just off of the layoff.
Mm-hmm.
So I was really between Power Shift and Canaletto. And really, when you're watching those 2 replays on their debuts, it's a very fine line, right? You kind of are just picking very small things as far as what you like a little bit better than the other. And so it could go either way, honestly, with those 2. And what's really fun about this race, it seems like from the chat, this is a kind of a theme. We all love this race. It legitimately, those 3 horses could not only like be contenders of the Derby, like they could win the Derby. Like Power. Yeah. And again, we have to see what they do. But I'm saying, like, I still feel like the Power Shift, the Canaletto, and certainly Further Ado, if any one of those like have a big performance here and then go on, like those are horses that could definitely turn into really good chances to win the Kentucky Derby, just as like Chief Wallaby or Class President or those horses who maybe going into those races, you like, I don't know, like maybe they're a little bit behind, and then boom, all of a sudden they are. So this race has got pretty big Derby implications, way more, in my opinion, than the one we just talked about, the San Felipe.
Yeah, and the last thing I'll say is it certainly also sets up, if they just run well and lose, like we're talking about, you got another round of preps. A race like the Bluegrass or the Wood really fits in well schedule wise, and I think that'd be good spots for these horses to run next. And so it's a really nice timed race. It's a stepping stone for the bigger ones as well. So yeah, a lot to look forward to. I can't wait. I'm very excited to just get some answers on Power Shift, the Puma, Canaletto. How good are they? I think we'll know.
You're gonna have some money on Hulkamania, brother?
No, I'm not. I was not a big Hulkamaniac growing up. And I did not like his maiden all that well. So
it's a cool name though.
Okay. I was in the Ultimate Warrior bandwagon when I was a kid. I preferred the Ultimate Warrior over Hulk Hogan.
Wow, you were now looking back. Like if I could choose now, kind of knowing what I know, I'd be like, yeah, Hulk was kind of a douche. Give me the Ultimate Warrior. But back in the day, man, I can't lie. Until he switched to he was NWO. I was straight up Hulkamania, man. So that was my guy. I had a little one of those little wrestling dummies.
Oh yeah.
What you gonna do? I love it. Yeah, the Bluegrass should be, dude. All these final preps are going to be electric because there's so many horses that we keep talking about, like either need to have that, that Chief Wallaby needs to have that final push, that big performance to kind of secure his spot, or a Blackout Time and Napoleon Solo. Some of these horses that have looked really good at times, but they need that big race to kind of get them in. Whatever it is, like these final preps are going to be super fun.
Yeah, I think it's setting up to be one of the most fun final rounds of preps ever if they all make it, because there's so many horses that are lightly raced and are question marks, and it makes it fun.
Yeah. It again. I'll save my question because that ties to that as well. But all right. For the Tampa Bay Derby, I'm picking Canaletto, the number 9, and Halterman is going with the class of the field, the 6. Further Ado. All right. Yeah, that's a hell of a race, man. That is a good race.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go. All right. Time for Rapid Fire. We're just going to go through 2 races here for Rapid Fire. Rapid Fire is presented by the Racing Dudes Betting Bible. It's not the new betting Bibles. We've just kind of released it. We're going to slow roll it out, and we'll have it next weekend. We'll have the first betting Bible available, which is which race is that?
Virginia Derby next
weekend.
What a race. So it's just a little late to do the Tampa Bay. It is ready-ish, but anytime you launch something new, there's problems and stuff, and I don't want to do it this late before the race. So next week, though, the Virginia Derby. And look, I know it's like, Virginia Derby. Well, it's a good weekend to roll it out, work out any kinks that might be there. There may not be, but there might be some. And then by the time the risen starts here, it's perfect and it's ready to go.
Yeah, and guys, get ready because the new betting Bible will be available every weekend, basically between now and probably past the Triple Crown at least.
Yeah.
So stay tuned. And by the way, you'll never, ever, ever have better value on the website because those are included for free. That's not changing with any premium subscription, which premium subscription can run you as low as $70 a month, which gets you all free picks or premium picks for every track running in America for the whole month, but also the betting Bibles for free. And so do the math. We say we do 4 in a month at $30 a pop. Okay. I think hopefully, I don't know how good you guys are at math, but hopefully good enough to figure that one out. So those will be available in the next for next week as we kind of roll those out for the Virginia Derby. All right. 2 races to talk about here, Haltzman. Race number 9, the Azeri Stakes, Grade 2 at Oaklawn Park. 400K, mile 16, fillies and mares, 4-year-olds and up. This is not necessarily, I don't know what you think about the race, but it seems like Nitrogen should win this one. I don't know that she can be beat. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm with you. I thought this was one where I do like the 5 a little bit, but I think the 5 is going to end up being the second choice. So, but no, on top, I like number 2 Nitrogen. I just think she's far and away better than this group. I still think she might be a better turf horse, but her dirt resume is pretty darn good. Grade 1 winner, obviously, second at the Breeders' Cup, won really nicely in the Bayakoa last time out. I really like that effort, and I think she'll roll here. I do like the 4 and the 5 underneath, but on top, I like 2 Nitrogen.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to go against. Nitrogen's been awesome. Finished second in the distaff. Came back, looked awesome in the Bayakoa at Oaklawn Park. 1 for 1. Mark Cassidy has been so good this year at Oaklawn Park. Hard to go against, which I think you could go one way or another, but she's obviously very good on whatever. You could run her on anything, and she's very good, it feels like. So Nitrogen has made over $2 million in 13 starts, which is pretty awesome. So give me number 2 Nitrogen. I just, she seems like she's just, I don't know. She kind of seems like this year's Torpedo Anna, where it's just like, I don't know that she's like out of this world good, but also like based on a lot of the horses she's running against, I just don't, it's hard to beat her, I think that alone will get it done. So I like Nitrogen here as well. All right, let's go back to Santa Anita for 2 races. Race number 4 on the undercard of the San Felipe is the Beholder Mile. It's a Grade 1, 300K, 1 mile for the fillies and mares, 4-year-olds and up. Field of 6 here. The 4 to 5 Splendora for Bob Baffert seems like a pretty clear standout in this one.
Yeah, we're definitely 2 for 2 on what I think are clear standout horses. Splendora, of course, won the Breeders' Cup Filly Mare Sprint 2 races back, came back, and I thought looked really good off the layoff, and rolls right back in here. And I do think, hey, we got to stretch out to a mile, but the race 3 back at Del Mar was a mile race, and she just cruised to an easy win there. So don't have a lot of worry here. I think it's the number 4 Splendora on top.
Yeah, to me, this race was twofold. It was one that I think she's very good, and 2, it's kind of like the last race. Look around. I don't know if you're trying to beat her, who are you beating her with? That's the problem I kind of ran into here. She just seems like such a clear standout compared to anyone else in the race. Plus, she's obviously got a ton of talent and very fast. So, give me the 4 Splendora. I think she does this one. I'd say fairly easily. All right, let's go to which race is this? Race 10. No, yeah, 10. The Santa Anita Handicap. That's the big cap. Grade 1, 300K. Mile and a quarter for 4-year-olds and up. This race is just getting worse by the minute, though, unfortunately. Started off as a field of 7. Scratched down now to field of 6 because Skippy Longstocking did not make the flight. I guess acted up and didn't make the flight, so they couldn't get on. And then I just saw today that Westwood is going to scratch as well. Does not want to. They don't think is good to going this long. So this race, as of now, is down to a field of 5 for the big cap.
This is sad. I'll say that right off the bat. This is really sad.
We're talking about a race, Halterman, that getaway car legitimately has a shot to win. Yeah, and it's the big cap.
This used to be one of the best. One of the best older races in the country, and year after year it gets a little bit weaker, and this is just gross. Field of 5 here.
Try to act excited.
I don't want to pick just a touch, so I can't do it. He may win. I can't do it. But then you go, okay, I don't want to do that.
You're stuck between 2 horses you do not want to pick.
You can't. I guess I'll pick getaway car.
That's as bad. That's worse. That's worse than just a touch. Honestly,
you think so?
I mean, I'll pick it just a touch. So maybe one of us will get it right. But
Well, so here's your options. Okay, Midnight Mammoth, who was 5th last time out in the San Pasquale. He did win an allowance 2 races back. But he did finish behind Skippy Longstocking in the Hollywood Gold Cup. I mean, I don't know. Maybe there's something there. Getaway car. We know about him. Just a touch. We know he loses it at short prices. Vodka. I can't.
Turf Horse.
Yeah, he's a I can't do it. What about British Isles? I mean,
that horse is going to be a turf horse as well. It's going to be third choice in the race. And pretty clear third choice, I think. Don't love him. I think the distance is not a concern, so I guess you have that.
I'm going to pick him.
Finished 5th in the Pegasus last out. At least you could say
he was second in the Native Diver behind Nevada Beach. Yeah, give me British Isles. I cannot pick the 2 or the 3 because here's the deal. Not only are you going to pick them, but they're both going to be incredibly short prices. I can't do it. I'm going to go number 6, British Isles.
That's great. Looking at Midnight Manlo says looking at Midnight Mammoth and British Isles like they're the last single girls at the bar at 3.
100%.
It's so true. You're just like, shit,
I got to just take the 6.
It's like, on that group there, and then the other group has got Getaway Car, Just a Touch. Just a Touch is a complete loser, and Getaway Car, you don't want to be seen having your friends seeing you with it. So you're like, well, shit, what do I do here? Do I go with that group, or I don't know. Just a Touch. Like I keep thinking, I think I picked him last time too. He's burned a lot of money, not just me. He runs well pretty much every time, just doesn't like to win. That's concerning. Brad has thought enough to bring him out here. Gets his old buddy back, Flo, who's rode him many times. So there's maybe the reunion will do it. I'm not. I'll be honest. I'll try to survive this race in the multis. I'm not betting this race at all. It's brutal. Just a Touch is my pick. I hate Getaway Car more than I hate Just a Touch, so I guess that's why I ended up on him. And you hate Just a Touch more than you hate Getaway Car, so it's not a good race.
I hate them both and taking British Isles, so there you go.
Skippy it'd been fun to get Skippy out here. He probably would have won, but he's an idiot apparently. So
yeah, it's funny that horse has traveled all over the country. And they were like, he's never done anything like that before. So I don't know. That's bad. That's sad.
He's had enough with Safi. He's just like, I'm not doing it. You can't make me go out there. So he's not out. He's not coming. Westwood was an interesting one too. Of course, we used to be trained by the late John Sheriffs with Peter Urton now. And I don't know why they entered at all because they said they're going shorter, targeting the New Orleans handicap. So that was.
Isn't it interesting?
Hammersley.
Isn't it interesting? They're worried about going 1.25 miles when they just won at 1 1/8, and they're taking on basically the same horses. I would. I don't know.
I mean, shit. I was gonna pick him when I saw him in the race.
I certainly was. Yeah.
After I saw that Skippy was scratching, but yeah, I mean, hell, I don't know. Maybe to me, it sounds more like maybe they didn't. Peter just didn't, being that he just got him. Maybe he doesn't feel like he's got enough, doesn't feel confident in his own workouts to make, have him ready. I don't know. But that's what they said. So, this race is scratched down. Getaway Car, man. I have just too many bad memories with that horse from last year. So
I would never do that.
I just can't imagine a world that Getaway Car is the winner of the Big Cap, regardless of how shitty this year's Big Cap is. I just can't get there. So Just a Touch for me. Halterman's on Westwood.
No, I'm on British Isles, but
British Isles. You wish you were on Westwood.
Yeah, I wish. Yeah.
Maybe he'll run. I mean, gosh, can you imagine name any 3-year-old, the 3-year-olds we're talking about, they could go out and probably win that race.
Well, the comment down there is too bad sovereignty or journalism isn't entered. And I mean, they're not ready to run, but yeah, if journalism was ready to run, he would be 1-9, I would think. Yeah. Sovereignty's not coming out here ever until the Breeders' Cup. Well, the Breeders' Cup's going to be in Keeneland, so he's not coming out. But journalism is a realistic horse that could have ran in it if he was ready.
Yeah, get journalist or sovereignties. Santa Anita is beneath him right now.
I mean, unfortunately, that is the truth of it. Like there's no reason they're never coming out there. So it's sad to see that. And look, I mean, even when we first got into racing, Santa Anita, my gosh, you target that big cap. That's huge,
Well, yeah.
And now it's just an afterthought. So sad.
I mean, just different. Like I remember even when we, like you said, not that long ago, the big cap, like they're all aiming for the big cap, right?
Yep.
Like that's the race. And
Yep.
typically Baffert had a couple of good ones. Yeah. Getaway car was good fifth in the Virginia Derby last year. So that was solid.
Sneaky fifth. Yeah.
All right. Halterman mentioned it earlier in the opening. We are just 2 months out from the Kentucky Derby, less than a month out for these final preps. So I'll bring up a couple of the races from last week, and we'll start with that, and we'll kind of go into the bigger picture here. But Chief Wallaby and Commandment 1-2 in the Florida or the Fountain of Youth. Last out. You can find some of these quotes on the website at racingdudes.com. I'll put up there's the race results right there. Solitude Dude did finish a really good third, which obviously kind of gave you a little bit of confidence heading into the next day with class president. We'll talk about him coming up. But Commandment and Chief Wallaby. The way I look at this one, Commandment's leader in the clubhouse right now, but Chief Wallaby's still got 2 holes to play and is looking pretty damn good.
Yeah, I think Chief Wallaby's got the projection to move forward a little bit better than Commandment, but I don't want to take anything away from Commandment. He won the race, so give him credit there. But boy, oh boy, did Chief Wallaby look good in this race. Had to go wide, and that probably cost him. When it's a neck difference there, going much wider than your opponent, pretty much the whole race was going to cost you. But boy, they both ran really well. I was proud of Solitude Dude. He ran hard. He just wasn't quite good enough. Didn't really want to go that far. But boy, yeah, what a horse race. And listen, Chief Wallaby and Commandment, they're 1-2 for me. I mean, you can flip them if you want to flip them, but that's how I have them. Wallaby 1 and Commandment 2, because I just think the improvement level of Chief Wallaby's there. And if he can continue to kind of progress, he's going to be very, very tough to beat.
Yeah, he's just got the right trainer to lead him there. And you mentioned it in the opening, a little different than Sovereignty, obviously, but this one kind of felt like was kind of presented kind of like, hey, we have to do this because look how good he is, versus Sovereignty. It was like, okay, we work our way back and see if we can get him there. So maybe a little bit forced at least initially, but then all the answers were kind of answered, or questions were answered. And now it's like, all right, find the right prep. And right after the race, it wasn't a question of if, it was a matter of where and where we're going to run next. So we'll see if they get a rematch here. I know Commandment probably will be back. I don't know if Chief Wallaby will stay put or what, but definitely will be in a final prep coming up. It's exciting because you leave that race, like that's just such a big ask for a horse. It looked like he was going to win fairly easily. He got a little bit tougher trip, although both of them were pretty good trips. Commandment definitely got the inside trip versus the Chief Wallaby kind of had to go outside a little bit, but they ran pretty close together for a lot of that race, and then they kind of split and then met back up. And Commandment's edge got him a little bit with the class, but yeah, I think Chief Wallaby's got a really high ceiling from here. So I left that race very excited. I left that honestly. I left that race more excited about Chief Wallaby than Commandment.
Yeah, no, me too. And I think it's because we know, when they stretch out, we've got a pretty good indication Chief Wallaby's just going to get better. There was some talk after the race from Cox is like, man, I don't know if Commandment really wants 1.25 miles. So that was kind of a weird thing to say as well. But at the end of the day, like I find myself anytime I try to talk about Commandment and kind of give him his kind of respect, I wheel right back to Chief Wallaby. It just feels like he is the best horse moving forward out of it. But Commandment does deserve a lot of credit. He won the race. He had to hold him off. Wallaby made that huge move. He still had to hold him off. But yeah, just a second start for Chief Wallaby going long for the first time. It's just a really, really eye-catching race.
Yeah, the next day you had Class President and Silent Tactic in a thriller as well. And these two kind of separated themselves in that race, just like those two did in the Fountain of Youth. Class President gets the edge over Silent Tactic. Litmus Test did hold on for third, very distant third. It was clearly those two. Listen, like Silent Tactic kind of came up. He was definitely closer to this race than he was in the Southwest. And, I don't know if that was a factor kind of going into the race, like because of the way the track was playing or what, but he looked like he was about to, here's how it looked. It's like class president. Okay. He's putting away litmus tests. Silent Tactics about to put away all of them. He got ahead of him. He got ahead or maybe even almost a half length, and class president battled back and battled back it so much that and won the race. So, it was like for class president to do that on his debut, 2-turn debut, was just really impressive because obviously Silent Tactic has been running long and has obviously won the stakes race. Ran 2 stakes races, the last 2, won the last one. He's very well proven. Class president to do that in his first 2-turn debut was just really impressive.
Yeah, it was, and look, I was I was really blown away with his ability to fight. I told you up the backside, when he was tracking litmus test, I always kind of felt like he was moving a little bit smoother than litmus test. And I never was real worried that he would get by. I kind of thought he would, and he did. He kind of eased by him, fairly easily. And then it was like, oh man, he's going to run really well and get second. That sucks because Silent Tactic looks like he was going to go right by him, and he did go by him. So, I don't know if it was a head or so, but he got or neck or whatever. He got by him a little bit, and class president just re-rallied and fought him and got to the wire first. Look, I think these 2 horses are a cut below the 2 horses up at Gulfstream, or down at Gulfstream, I should say, but. Well, the more you watch that race, I'm not sure how far, right? I'm not sure it's that big of a gap. The buyers seem to tell you that it is, but I'm not sure that those buyers at Oaklawn won't get raised a little bit.
Here's the field.
They were a little low. So I don't know, man. I thought this was really impressive to do this your first time going long and to beat a seasoned horse like that and re-rally. That shows a lot. I think class president, it's got a big future ahead of him, but I think Silent Tactic is awfully nice as well.
Yeah, when you look at it here, it's like, okay, Silent Tactic's going to go by. He's going to basically go right by him. And then once Velasquez got class president to see him and got him like kind of engaged with him next to him, he re-rallies. And now I don't know if it's a matter of Silent Tactic kind of hanging or a matter of class president re-rallying, or maybe a little bit of both. It was still, anytime you have a horse on the inside of a more established horse, of a horse that's been, you know what I mean? Like a lot of those factors, and to kind of not get discouraged and fight back was impressive. Now, you and I talked a lot about it afterwards. We're like, I don't know. Like, I'm almost disappointed. More like disappointed is the wrong word, but Silent Tactic probably should have won the race. I think if he was like the A horse, the A type Derby contender, he probably should have won that, right? Like it should have been a lot like, honestly, Commandment and Chief Wallaby, where it was like, gosh, class president ran well. Maybe if he had that one more race under his belt, he could have got it, but he just didn't quite. So I think that is kind of like, I like Silent Tactic a ton. I think he can win the Kentucky Derby even with the right setup. But I didn't leave the race being like, it could be either. I like class president more,
I agree with your assessment. I do think there's a world where the pace sets up really, really, really well. And you see Silent Tactic, maybe he doesn't win, but he gets second, and you go, man, he almost got there. I think that is something that could happen. He's very honest. He's very true. It is probably one of those situations where he's the more likely horse to hit the board than class president in the Kentucky Derby, but class president is the more likely horse to win the Kentucky Derby. The thing with Silent Tactic is, to me, it's just like, okay, we know who he is. We know what he can do. We'll see him run one more time. Thank you, Mark Casse, for being a guy that can run your horses back in a normal time. That's great. I'm a big fan of this horse and Mark Casse because of that, actually. But anyway, okay, we know who he is. His last prep isn't all that relevant. The last prep for class president is very relevant because Will he move forward? Or did that race take a lot out of him and that he takes a step backwards? That's possible too. But how much better can class president get? That is a huge key coming up these last round of preps.
Yeah, because the thing is, dude, it's not fair because it's a rebel. It's not an allowance or even a maiden special weight. But the bottom line is it's only his first time going long. It's only his first time against stakes caliber horses. It's there's a lot of like first time thing, and like we need to see, just like Chief Wallaby, you need to see it one more time. We need to see it go forward even off of that race. We in order to set you up for the Kentucky Derby, and we need to see that one more involvement from these horses. And so yeah, is as good as these performances were last weekend, it's like, hey, if you want to be the Derby winner, like we think class president potentially could be, or Chief Wallaby or whoever, you got to see it again. You got to like, okay, do it once is impressive. Do it twice is like, okay, you're legit.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And that is the big thing. When you have a horse that's established, you kind of assume that they're going to do it. But with these horses, how they come back out of races it's everything. And you're compressed for time, at least with the new age of training. You're compressed with time, where they usually try to run it back like once every 8 weeks, and now it's got to be 4. So that's going to be interesting to see if they can handle that as well. So and again, that's why I'm so excited about the last round of preps, and even, starting this weekend, obviously as well. Well, really starting last weekend all the way through, is because those questions are going to be there every single prep race.
So I'm going to give you 3 horses that, quote unquote, disappointed last weekend. And you kind of give me which of any or all are you pressing the panic button on between Napoleon Solo in the Fountain of Youth, Litmus Test, and Blackout Time here in the Rebel? Any of those kind of not newcomers, but coming back from the layoff type horses are you concerned about?
Honestly, none of them.
Okay.
But if I had to pick one, I think it would be Blackout Time. Why? Napoleon Solo really needed a race. He really broke horribly. He did get himself back in position. I just feel like that everything kind of went wrong, and he might get better next out. Litmus Test, I think, is going to get a little better next out. I'm not overly worried about him. Now, as far as winning the Derby, yes, but I think he'll be okay. Blackout Time, I don't know. I didn't love his race, so I would go him.
And then finally, by the way, I would say it's definitely not. I don't know. It might be all of them, honestly. Because Litmus Test wasn't great, although did finish third. Napoleon Solo is good. Like I thought, Napoleon Solo he's been so good. He was so good last year, and he was so not good the other day. And so I don't know. Like I get that was his first race, but Summers never really said like we were expecting him to win, but I don't think they were expecting it to be that bad. Yeah. So, this next race obviously is critical. So, I thought I was pretty disappointed in his race for sure.
Well, I mean, I was disappointed too. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I kind of think he'll get better out of it.
He better get better fast.
Well, I don't think. Look, all 3 of those horses, I don't think they're winning the Derby. But I'm not panicked that I'm not here to say they suck. I guess is where I'm at.
All right. Finally, any thoughts on? I mean, this race kind of went as planned with Iron Honor. Won the Gotham. Definitely wasn't bad. Was fine, but is trying to shake a very serious streak of horses that have won the Gotham, not winning the Kentucky Derby. Do you think he can change that this year?
No, not really. I mean, I'm not that down on it like a lot of people, because it was his first start of the year. He did win. Crown the Buckeye got out kind of on the lead there, and those horses can be tough to pass at Aqueduct sometimes. It wasn't great. It wasn't anything compared to the other 2 races we talked about, but it wasn't awful. I would be willing to think he's going to improve next out, and I wouldn't be totally against him next out.
Yeah, no, I like him. I don't know that he's good enough to win, but I think he's up there with a lot of these Chad Brown horses for sure. We'll see which ones kind of really start to separate from themselves. But I thought, it's hard. Like when you have a streak like that, which is the last horse to do it is Secretariat, which is insane. But like it's quite a streak. I don't know that it can be broken, but I'm not like. I think having that kind of weight of that kind of horse, the only horse that's able to do it is that horse. It's like, well, this race is garbage, and I still think he's a pretty good horse. I just don't think he can win the Derby.
Yeah,
I don't think he will win the Derby, I guess.
Same. Yeah.
All right. my question I kind of teased out there earlier is, and I've been asking myself this, and I really want to know you may not know an answer, but like, what we have 1 month left of final preps, meaning we have 1 month left to dive through the information, to see the performances, to figure out an answer, or at least to come up with an answer within the Kentucky Derby. So what are we looking for? Like, what will it take for you to feel confident in a performance, in a horse, to say that is the Derby horse? That's the horse I want to pick. Like what there, because all these seem so comparable and very similar performances and what ifs and possibilities. But what is it going to take for you to be like, yep, that's the one. That's the one I'm picking.
Well, to me, I have a very simple answer. It's all Chief Wallaby. If he shows up in his next race and shows improvement off of that last race, he's going to be my Derby pick, win or lose. Because he's already my number one horse now. And if he shows improvement off of that, let's say he wins the Florida Derby by a length or two, because by the way, if you win that Florida Derby by a length or two, you're damn good. If it's Commandment nearly and Chief Wallaby, that's going to be a ridiculous race. And I think Chief Wallaby's the horse to beat in it. So if he improves like that again, he's going to be my Derby pick. That's what I'm looking for. I think it starts with him. And then if he doesn't improve or doesn't run very well or whatever, then you're just looking for that horse that does, right? But to me, dude, if you compare Sovereignty and him at this points in their careers, meaning when Sovereignty was a 3-year-old that just won the whole Fountain of Youth, I'd take Chief Wallaby. Like, he's better right now. But here's the key to this whole thing. He has to get much better as they go, just like Sovereignty did.
Yeah.
Because he's not better than Sovereignty when he won the Derby and when he won the Belmont and when he won the Travers. The Sovereignty's way better than Chief Wallaby. But at that point in Sovereignty's career, I don't think he was as good as what we've seen from Chief Wallaby.
Yeah,
but
I mean,
you got to get better. That's the problem.
You need it. What you need to see is, for me, and I think it's only from a few different options. Like like Chief Wallaby would certainly be my number one prospect, and then like maybe a class president, maybe Paladin. I guess we can see what comes out of the Baffert barn, but point is, I need to see that. Let's just say Chief Wallaby. I need to see. I think like the same performance we saw last time, only he extends 5 lengths down the stretch, where it's like, oh shit, like this. And now again, it matters who he's facing, if it's Chief Wallaby versus class president. But I need to see that that eruption down the stretch where it's like, oh yeah, that horse knows how to win these big races and will do it in the Kentucky Derby.
If he improves 5 lengths in his next start, I will bet $10,000 on him in the Kentucky Derby, because he should be 1-9.
There you go.
You're not asking for much, just to run about a 110 buyer in his third start ever, going 1 1/8 in the Florida Derby. Well, yeah, if he does that, I think a lot of us will be on him for the Kentucky Derby.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I need to see.
Hey, listen, there is a very real world where he wins it. Whether he improves by a length in the Florida Derby or 5 or whatever, right? It will be fascinating to see if we do the same thing we did last year and skip the Preakness.
Yeah, that's why I saw some comments about it after. It's like, well, at least we know, because I said something on Twitter, I think, like, he's got a legit chance to win the Derby.
Yeah.
So Bill Mott to do it 2 years in a row. And someone was like, well, at least we know we won't have another Triple Crown on the line, because if he wins that, he's not running the Preakness.
Yeah.
Now, the difference is, like, this horse has been significantly managed differently because of it's just a different whole completely, and you have different ownership. Maybe that lesson last year of like, hey, we should have done it. Like, if we really want to be honest with ourselves, we probably should have done it. I think maybe they do it.
I don't expect you to improve by 5 lengths in the Florida Derby, but I do expect improvement. And again, I kind of, when Ted Nuffy got hurt, I was like, this is going to be very difficult because there's a lot of horses that kind of look the part. And to me, after that race, there's only one I'm really interested in. But here's the deal. We have so many horses this week, next week, the next week, that kind of have that same looking resume that could jump up with him. And that's what makes it so fun this year.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, just imagine a world where Chief Wallaby, okay, maybe it's not 5. Let's say he wins by 2 and he runs a 105 buyer. Okay. Can we agree with that?
Yeah. That would be very good if he does that. Yeah.
He does that. Now, meanwhile, class president, I have no idea where they're. Let's say they run him back in the Arkansas Derby. I don't think they are, but let's say they do, just for argument's sake. He runs a 100 buyer and does it fairly impressively as well.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, yeah, I'm with you. I would 100% be on Chief Wallaby ship as well. But you'd also be like, that class president is pretty damn good. You know, like, we're gonna have to see that. And that's the point of how many horses there are that are in a similar spot, like you mentioned. Now, I agree, Chief Wallaby is certainly up here, and the other ones, at least I feel like right now, are a little below. Point is, they all have this proving ground to make, and there could be 1 or 2 other horses besides Chief Wallaby that, make it a little interesting or make you have to kind of second guess or whatever. Whoever you pick in the Derby.
Yeah, 100%. I think class president's one to definitely talk about. Can Commandment do it again? That would be interesting.
Well, yeah. What if they run the race again? They're both in the same race. They're both in the Florida Derby again, and he beats him again.
Well,
and they both run like 105s or whatever. They both get better, and you're like, oh shit, I know Chief Wallaby's better. I know it in my bones, but Commandment keeps beating them.
Yep.
Then you're like, I don't know. Do I want to pick him one more time? Would I pick against Commandment one more time in the Derby?
Well, you would have the exacta box for the Derby at least, right? You'd have that answered.
Yeah.
But again, like Canaletto, throw the Puma in there. Canaletto, the Puma, Further Ado, and the freaking Power Shift. What if they run amazing? Then there's one. Emerging Market, there's one. He's going to run the Risen Star. Maybe he throws his name in there. You can go on and on. Paladin, what if he improves? So Renegade, I think Renegade's still in it. So that is what makes it fun. That there are horses right there lingering. And again, this horse has 2 starts, 1 win, 1 second. And I'm like, yeah, he's the Derby winner. So again, that Florida Derby is going to be massive for him. He's got to continue to progress.
Oh man, I hope you guys can feel the excitement on our end, because and I know we've seen the comments in the chats, we've seen the comments on the videos, the emails. It feels like people are very much getting excited for the Kentucky Derby. It feels like we're so close, yet it feels like it's so far away still, with all the horses we still have to figure out who's what as we go down these final races, this final stretch. This weekend will obviously be hopefully one more piece to the puzzle as we run through the Tampa Bay Derby and the San Felipe. More Derby coming up next week. Man, I was talking to Paul about it the other day, and it's like, this has got to be one of the more exciting Triple Crown trails, Derby trails that we've had in a long time. And now we're starting to sprinkle in, because one thing it's been lacking has been like, yeah, it's fun, but who's like who are the stars, like who are like those big horses? And now it's starting to, we're still trying to figure it out, but it's starting to feel like a little bit of making their names, and like now it's even more exciting because you have really good depth across the board. But man, these young, and I keep call them the young horses, but the inexperienced horses are really starting to kind of emerge.
Yeah. Yeah, that is what makes it fun. And I know what you're saying. Hey, they're all 3-year-olds, but yeah, these inexperienced horses usually, when these horses come around, you're like, yeah, that's maybe a Belmont and then summer horse. Where now it's like, no, they're in the Derby. So
Yeah, because it used to be like, oh, I'm excited about that horse, but no way it can make the Derby.
right.
But then now you're like, well, yeah, sure. If Bill Mott is moving a horse into the Triple Crown Trail off of one start, it's a different ball game now, right?
That's absolutely yes. Yep.
Like that like Bill Mott would never ever have done what he did in the Fountain of Youth ever, and that's like the most. He's gonna go make allowance to like the moment Chief Wallaby broke his maiden. You're like, well, that's unfortunate. Like it's so late because there's like I don't know that he's gonna get the Derby, and what's he do? He runs in the Fountain of Youth very next start. So
yeah,
that
I
tells
can
you a lot.
remember. I can remember losing the shake for him and thinking, well, I wanted him. I think he's really good, but I don't know, about as far as, Derby. And then it's like, bam. And I think this is a good point. I want to bring this up. The allowance race for 3-year-old males just doesn't exist anymore. They're in the condition books. They never fill. And I think it's there's just not as many horses there used to be. So they're kind of having to go in those stakes and that was with class president. He had to run in a stake because of it, 2 back the swale. And then Mott really didn't want to run in the Fountain of Youth, but there was no other place to run and the horse was ready. So
yeah,
there you go.
It's just a different, like I said, just a different game now. The curse of Apollo is not a thing anymore, obviously, but even like to think what Justified did not that long ago doesn't really seem insane at all anymore.
No,
it seems kind of normal, actually.
That was a trend that probably lasted about 10 years more than it should have. Talking about the curse of Apollo, because that was, even when we got going in the game, that was starting. You're getting more and more horses that never raced as a 2-year-old that could have won it, and maybe even should have won it. And so it hung on a little bit because of some bad luck for those horses. Like think of a horse like Bodemeister. He didn't lose the Derby because he was lightly raced. He lost the Derby because I'll Have Another was better than him, and it's what could have fallen before, but I don't think it's still it's still not easy to do, but it's a lot easier than it used to be. That's how I would describe it.
Yeah, you don't even. There's just they don't even think about it anymore either.
No.
Like Manlo says, like you just forget about it at this point. It's not. Because when Justified doing it one year is one thing, Mage doing it the other next time, you're like, all right, now it's like
that's when it was over.
If he can do it, then it's not a thing,
Honestly, for me, it didn't bother me when Justified was trying it because of Bodemeister, because I just looked back and was like, well, inexperience didn't get Bodemeister beat. He ran second and he got beat. And then he comes back and gets beat again in the Preakness by the same horse. He just wasn't as good as that horse. But it had nothing to do with he didn't start at 2 and that's what cost him. No, that's not what cost him. So anyway, when Justify got there, I was like, well, that's not going to cost him. He's either going to be good enough or not. And that's what it is now.
Well, yeah, he's a horse away from running for the Triple Crown. Bodemeister, that is.
Bodemeister,
and so that's like one horse. Obviously, like you said, it wasn't because of experience whatsoever, for sure. So, all right, guys, that's gonna do it for us. Go over to racingdudes.com, check us out. All those free picks, all the premium selections. Again, the betting Bible. Get ready for that. Now is the time. Use this week to subscribe. It'd be a good time to subscribe with this weekend's racing. And then get ready for the betting Bibles each and every weekend. We'll have more coming out next week as we kind of promote that and give you more insight of what exactly the new betting Bible entails. We're at Racing Dudes on Twitter at @racing_dudes, on Instagram, Facebook. Find all episodes of Blinkers Off by visiting the podcast page on the website or any of the places you like to listen to podcasts, Apple Podcasts, those places we're there. YouTube, hit that like, subscribe, and notification button. We appreciate everybody that's been on the live with us today and every week. One quick thing I wanted to add before we leave. Do you think we are going to have a UAE Derby / World Cup this year?
That's above my pay grade to predict that. I don't know. I would think if we do, it's probably a lot of horses that are local to there. I can't imagine we're going to fly over there, but I don't know. I guess a lot could happen between now and then, but my best guess would be no.
I mean, I just can't imagine, like, like if I have a horse that's, I mean, any horse, but if you like just the logistics go behind getting over there.
Yeah.
And then, not knowing if you're going to, what is it, is the war going to, you want to call it the, whatever it's called at this point. Is it going to get worse while you're there? Is something going to, then you're stuck there, or worse, get attacked, or, there's way too many unknowns at this point where I just feel like you said a lot of them aren't going to come, and maybe they still try to do it with like just who's there. But yeah, it seems, I don't know. It seems unlikely. I don't know. It'd be pretty bad if they didn't.
I can't imagine if say I was Asmussen, who has Magnitude, who was supposed to go over there, right? I can't imagine. I just can't imagine why you would do it. I would just say, well, I'm going to stay here at Oaklawn Park and yeah, the Oaklawn Handicap, and
you might get Sovereignty versus Magnitude now in that race. So
yeah, I mean that's kind of. I just don't know why you would ship over there. I know. Well, look, I know people are gonna say, yeah, it's however many $1 million. Yeah, but you might die. How much is your life worth, right? So,
yeah.
That or like you said, maybe it's not that extreme, but maybe you're stuck over there for a month or something. I don't know. It's also, it's ever changing, and it's too hard to predict what that looks like a week, 2-3 weeks from now,
I can't get out of my head that, that whatever that hotel is called, like that world-class hotel that's getting hit with missiles.
Yeah.
And it's like, if that place is not, against getting hit, then what stops anywhere in Dubai,
Yeah.
It's too scary. I just can't imagine being an owner and bringing my horses over there. But I don't know. I guess some money talks in this game. So I don't know. Maybe they just boost the purse and get people over there. I don't know.
Yeah. I think to your point, like if that place doesn't have a safe feel to it, then where is a safe?
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of what I was trying to get at.
Yeah.
That seems so impossible and likely that I know it's Dubai and in the Middle East, and that, it's, when you look at the map, you're like, oh shit, like that's like right between all of it,
Yep.
But it still feels like a very safe spot, especially when you have a hotel and kind of that class level and it's getting hit. You're just like, well, shit, man. Like that does felt like it would not, they had precautions around that or something. And, so yeah, I don't know. I don't want to get into all that, but point is, it seems dicey at best. So might increase some of the cards here in the United States. We'll see. Obviously you got to think at least one or two main horses in America are going to stay put because of it. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely going to have an impact, just a matter of how big of an impact. But all right, that's going to do it for us. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. As always, until next time, I'm Jared Welch. He's Aaron Halterman. Good luck this weekend.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Blinkers Off. Join our horse racing community at racingdudes.com and follow us on Twitter at racing_dudes. Want to make money betting horses? Bet with the Racing Dudes.